Hello, everybody. I want to talk about a possible reason behind estrangement when it comes to today's day and age. And I'm going to dive into some pretty heavy topics and reveal some truths and talk about how estrangement happens and the creating of happens years before we even have children. I'm just going to go into childhood. I had three sisters, I had a multitude of aunts and uncles, and my home, I had a mom and a dad. Um, we didn't really, there wasn't really a lot of deep, deep relationships. I love my family, but my dad didn't really talk with us a whole lot. I did go fishing with him, and that's when we would chit chat. But it wasn't until I got older that we had a really close relationship. But my aunts and uncles always had a great deal of respect for us girls, and we were valued. The females in our family were valued, listened to, respected, etc. And then, lo and behold, I joined the military, and I was raped while serving in the Army. I didn't get help. I didn't talk about it back then. In 1990ish, we didn't talk about it. We didn't have support groups, or there wasn't really anything discussed regarding military sexual trauma and the repercussions of that. And so, unfortunately, being untreated, undiagnosed, I went on to marry someone who was not kind. Come to find out after we got married, well, I was pregnant before we met, and then I met him, and he agreed to sign the birth certificate and thought we'd be a family. And we were. We subsequently went on to have a second child together, and he was dad to both of our girls. Raised him as his own. We told people she was his, and that was that. He was there. I think I was about 7 months pregnant when we got together. I was pregnant, and then we got engaged and got married before we had her. And then he naturally signed the birth certificate, which is just normally what happens in a marital relationship. And so, um, everything was fine, hunky dory. And after we got married, the abuse slowly emerged. I was told I could not hang out with my girlfriends in the military because they were not a good influence. He didn't want me to tell anyone. He would explode, had anger management problems, would call me every name in the book. It was just like walking through a landmine. And I'm not saying he wasn't a good dad. He loved our girls, played with them, read to them, was a hands on type of dad, but his explosions would happen normally when they were not around or in bed, taking naps, etc. If they happened when the girls were around, it was so long ago I don't remember because my girls are in their 30s, so I can't remember all the fine details. Unfortunately, come to find out after we got married, the abuse slowly emerged, but I think it was because um, realized he had been abused by his own mother, who had been an alcoholic, and she would call him names. She would call him dumb and stupid. And so I think he grew up not only being abused by his mother, but then turned around and abused me and such. So there was a lack of respect for me as a woman and a human being and the mother of his children. When our girls were 8 and 9 years old, I got the strength to ask for a divorce because I didn't want the behavior to be repeated. I was hoping to prevent my daughters from marrying um, into that type of relationship. But unfortunately, um, the seeds started to be planted after the divorce. He went on to marry someone, and I said to my girls, do you have to have respect for her? That's your dad's girlfriend, wife, etc. Just respect. And my girls only saw their dad once a month. Actually, let me back up a little. When I filed for divorce, Um, he only would see them when I went to work. It was never weekends, holidays, etc. It was only an hour or so after they got off school before I came home from work, and then he would leave, but never weekends or anything. And um, my lawyer called me not soon after I filed and said my then soon to be ex husband stated he wasn't my oldest daughter's biological father, so he didn't want to pay child support. So he forced my hand where I had to go find her biological father and put her through that. Then, after a series of months, I asked the lawyer, please, can he keep them every other weekend? And finally, his hand was forced, and he did. Got divorced, and the divorce decree states he is to have them a minimum of the third weekend of the month, and then he dropped it down to one Saturday a month. Um, I'm just trying to put a timeline. These are just facts. I'm just trying to put a timeline down. And so, even when my girls would go there, my girls would come home and say, Dad and so talked about you, asked what you do. And the seeds were planted from then on, and they were able to plant seeds of doubt, of disrespect, um, of dissension. And that was it. And then when my daughters estranged at the age of, by the time they were 19 years old each, um, that was it. So estrangement is a work in progress. And it happens long before our children decide to part ways. I don't know what your story is. I'm just laying out the timeline for my story. And so, unless you have, unless everyone on board is pro you and says, respect your mom, I want you to have a relationship with her, and you have people backing you up, chances are the cracks will widen and someone will be able to infiltrate, whether it's a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, etc. All it takes is one person and a multitude of their friends and family to start planting doubts, and that's when the cracks start happening. So, I just want to say that's my story. I'm just laying out facts. I'm telling you my experience, and that's all there is to it. Um, I would dive into more, but I just wanted to lay the foundation. And all I know is I had to let them go. I had to create a new life for myself. And today I smile. Today I have peace. I don't know what's going on with my daughters and my grandchildren who do not know I exist. I don't know. All I know is there are people in my life who love me and respect me, but that's because I took the time to get counseling and therapy from my assault and built my value up and realized I was worthy of kindness and compassion, which is something I exude in my life. So I know this is a longer video. I hope this helps, and I will be back.